Chapter 1. The Arrival. The heavy metal doors of Blackstone Penitentiary clanged shut behind Marco, echoing in the cavernous entryway like the tomb of his former life. As he took his first steps into the sterile, imposing environment, a wave of fear washed over him, coursing through the marrow of his bones. The scent of industrial cleaners mixed with the faint, metallic tang of old iron, creating an atmosphere both suffocating and unforgiving. Beside him, Lila fidgeted nervously, her heart pounding. She was a young woman caught in a web of desperation, thrown into this male-dominated world for a crime of circumstance. As they waded through the intake process, the distant sounds of shouting and clanging barred any thoughts of comfort. Both Marco and Lila felt the weight of judgment in the air, a stark reminder that this was their new reality, where survival meant navigating the oppressive shadows of regret and uncertainty. Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past. As Marco's voice resonates through the air, he pulls the listener into his childhood, an uneven landscape filled with stark contrasts. The distant echoes of gunshots intertwine with the laughter of friends, crafting a haunting melody of innocence lost. He recalls days spent in sun-drenched streets, where ambitions were forged amidst the chaos of gang life. Memories of family dinners flash, comforting aromas mingling with the heat of conflict, highlighting the complexity of love intertwined with violence. Lila's narration cuts in, offering a different lens. She reflects on the moment her life spiraled out of control, a single poor decision leading to her incarceration. With a soft voice, she recalls her dreams of becoming an artist, aspirations snuffed out by circumstances and choices. In this duality, the audience sees the roots of their struggles, how their paths became entwined with regret, shaping their journeys within the prison's cold embrace. Chapter 3. Inside the Walls. As dawn breaks over Blackstone Penitentiary, Marco rises to the sound of clanging metal and the distant echoes of guards' shouts. His day begins with a routine that offers both structure and monotony. Breakfast is a simple affair, a silent meal where eye contact is fleeting, filled with the rumble of trays scraping against the metal tables. Amidst hardened faces, he finds a few familiar ones. Greetings are exchanged, a nod here or a smirk there, subtle signs of camaraderie among men who have learned to navigate this harsh world. Meanwhile, Lila adjusts to the stark realities of prison life. Her days are filled with navigating the male-dominated environment, where she fights for respect and safety. Yet, amidst the tension, she seeks connection through shared activities like exercise classes and book discussions, where laughter rises above the prison's somber atmosphere. Each small victory cultivates her resilience, laying the groundwork for her journey ahead. Chapter 4. Nights in Blackstone. As darkness settles over Blackstone Penitentiary, Marco finds himself engulfed in turmoil. The night is shattered by the sounds of clanging metal and distant shouts, a cacophony that reverberates through the cold concrete corridors. He recalls a particularly harrowing night when a violent altercation erupted in the yard, fists flying and shouts echoing in desperation. In the chaos, Marco feels both fear and a strange sense of camaraderie, as inmates rally to protect one another. Amidst the violence, Marco grapples with the emotional weight that violence brings, reflecting on the choices that led him here. Meanwhile, Lila sits in the women's dormitory, her heart racing as she listens to the distant echoes of conflict. In that moment, she finds solace in her friendships, noting how laughter shared in quiet corners transcends even the darkest realities, binding them together. The night is heavy, but hope flickers in the dimmest corners, reminding them of their humanity. Chapter 5. Breaking Bread. As the clatter of metal trays echoed through the dimly lit cafeteria, Marco took his seat among a motley crew of inmates. The communal meal was more than just food. It was a ritual, a moment of connection amidst the chaos. He felt the weight of shared stories as laughter bounced around the table, each voice a testament to resilience. The smell of overcooked potatoes mingled with the scent of desperation. Yet during these brief moments, hope seeped into the cracks of their hardened facades. Across the compound, Lila prepared for her book club meeting. She gathered her fellow inmates, their enthusiasm sparking an electric atmosphere. As they discussed plot twists and characters, Lila felt the power of literature unify them, reminding her of dreams beyond the prison walls. In that charged space, they were not just inmates. They were storytellers, each sharing pieces of themselves with every word they spoke. Chapter 6. The Mentor's Path. Marco settled into the dimly lit room, the scent of stale coffee and worn-out seats filling the air. Today marked the beginning of his role as a mentor to younger inmates, an opportunity to reshape his legacy. As he glanced around the room, he saw the anxious faces of those eager for guidance but hesitant to trust. "Listen up," he began, his voice steady yet laden with gravity. He shared stories of poor choices that had led him to this point, each tale underscored by the weight of regret. Meanwhile, Lila found herself facing a skeptical inmate whose armor of indifference seemed impenetrable. With compassion, she urged her to see the possibility of redemption beyond the walls. "You have the power to choose differently," she asserted, her voice reflecting her own yearning for change. The two narratives intertwine, showcasing the struggle and triumph inherent in guiding others on their paths toward a better future. Chapter 7. Bonds of Sisterhood. In the yard's shadow, Lila gathers with her fellow inmates, the laughter of women mingling with the distant clang of metal doors. The bond they share transcends the iron bars that confine them. They are sisters in resilience, navigating a world that often overlooks their humanity. Today they sit together in a circle on worn benches, sharing stories of their past lives, their dreams, and the pain that brought them here. Each tale unfolds like a delicate thread, weaving a rich tapestry of struggle and strength. "Together we find solace," Leela reflects, her voice steady amidst the cacophony. They discuss hopes for a brighter future, outlining plans for a world beyond the prison gates. Leela recognizes that within these walls, amid the bleakness, their collective spirit shines bright. A sense of empowerment flourishes, uniting them in an unwavering sisterhood, proving that even in the darkest places, light can emerge through shared experience and understanding. Chapter 8. A Glimmer of Hope. As the first rays of dawn pierce through the barred windows, Marco sits in the common area, the hushed voices of fellow inmates filling the air. Today he has been invited to participate in a prison reform discussion, an opportunity he sees as both a privilege and a responsibility. He shares insights drawn from his own turbulent path, expressing the urgent need for sustainable rehabilitation programs to help broken lives find purpose. His words resonate like echoes in the hall, blending with the soft rustle of pages turned by interested listeners. Meanwhile, Lila sits cross-legged on her bunk, penning a heartfelt letter to her past self. She writes about forgiveness, acknowledging the mistakes that cost her freedom, yet whispering promises of hope and growth. "You have the power to change," she scribbles, her reflections mingling with the reverberating sound of Marco's voice as it mingles with discussions of hope and systemic change, proof that redemption is possible, even within the prison walls. Chapter 9. The Weight of Regret. Marco sits on the edge of his bunk, the solitude of his cell amplifying his thoughts. He reflects on pivotal moments in his life, the choices that led him down the path of crime, the friendships forged in loyalty that ultimately betrayed him. Each memory unfolds like an echo, the sound of laughter once vibrant, now tinged with sorrow. "I thought I was invincible," he admits, his voice heavy with remorse. Meanwhile, Lila writes in her journal, her pen gliding across the paper as she confronts her own painful regrets. She recalls the moment she made a decision that changed everything, a night filled with desperation and poor judgment. "I didn't just hurt myself, I hurt those I loved," she writes, the weight of her actions sinking in. The ambient sounds of the prison filter through their minds, a haunting reminder of their shared burden as they grapple with the ghosts of their pasts. Yearning for redemption. Chapter 10. Creativity Behind Bars. In a rare moment of brightness within the prison's stark walls, Lila organizes a poetry reading, an event that promises connection and expression. As she announces the gathering, excitement ripples through the air, each inmate eager to share their voice. The clinking of metal fades into the background, replaced by the resonance of heartfelt words and vulnerable stories unveiled under the flickering fluorescent lights. Marco, intrigued by the event, listens intently, rediscovering a lost part of himself within their verses. One inmate's poem about longing echoes off the grim walls, a haunting reminder of dreams deferred and the humanity that still flourishes within their confinement. As the reading unfolds, laughter punctuates the somber atmosphere, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and resilience. In this creative sanctuary, the palpable energy transforms the hardened identities of inmates, igniting a collective spirit that cements their bond, a powerful testament to the enduring strength of artistry in the darkest of places. Chapter 11. The Shifting Landscape. As whispers of change ripple through the corridors of Blackstone Penitentiary, Marco sits in the common area, reflecting on how new policies will affect daily life. With progressive guards beginning to advocate for inmate rights, he feels a flicker of hope, but also apprehension. The familiar clinking of chains juxtaposes with the heated discussions around him, and he pensively considers his role in this evolving environment. Meanwhile, Lila takes the initiative, gathering the women to discuss the implications of these shifts. They engage in spirited debates about dignity, safety, and the reform of outdated practices. As their voices rise and blend into a chorus of determination, the ambient sounds of their conversations fill the room, signaling a newfound empowerment. Yet, under the surface lies tension. Optimism battles skepticism as not all are convinced of the sincerity behind the changes. Amidst the charge of potential, a sense of uncertainty looms, echoing throughout the steel walls. Chapter 12. Homeward Bound. As the reality of his impending release sets in, Marco feels a mix of elation and trepidation. Memories flood his mind, of camaraderie forged in the face of adversity, of hard-won lessons learned amidst chaos. He stands in the yard, listening to the distant echoes of laughter and shouts, a bittersweet reminder of bonds built within these walls. Lila, too, grapples with her approaching parole. She finds solace in writing, pouring her fears and aspirations onto the page in a letter to herself, a promise of growth and change beyond the prison gates. "I will not be defined by my past," she writes, hope gleaming within her words. The ambient sounds of prison life blend with the stirring realization of freedom, a poignant affirmation of the resilience they both have cultivated. As the last days slip away, the air thickens with anticipation, igniting dreams of a new beginning just beyond the horizon. Chapter 13. Where the Echoes Lead. In the final days of his prison sentence, Marco roams the familiar walls of Blackstone Penitentiary with a heavy heart, reflecting on the friendships forged and lessons learned. The bonds he created with fellow inmates, layered with shared laughter and sorrow, echo in his mind as he prepares to leave the only home he's known for years. Meanwhile, Lila sits in her cell, pen in hand, writing a heartfelt letter to the future self she hopes to become, a woman of strength and purpose. She contemplates the dreams she once abandoned, stitching them into words of aspiration and hope. As the days blur together, the sounds of freedom, a distant train whistle, the rustle of leaves, begin to seep into their lives, a bittersweet reminder of the world waiting outside. With every echo, they brace themselves for the inevitable change, ready to step into lives filled with potential, yet haunted by their pasts.